And what I've learned is that I'm not alone. I've been feeling very mentally sluggish and unmotivated to create or just do anything. And it's like I'm moving slowly through a fog. And when I talk about this to other people, I declared it a funk, but what I found is I'm not depressed or sad. I'm just slow and almost directionless. So for this episode, I'm going to refer to it as a fog because I think it really provides a fabulous visual for what it actually is going on. So in this episode, we're going to talk about actions that you can actually take to understand the fog and let it move past you. These times in low visibility are extremely useful if you let yourself just relax into it. Because here's the truth of it. What you resist persists. All right, so let's cue the intro and dive right in. Welcome, I'm Stephanie Weaver, artist and founder of the Positive Painters online creative community, coming to you with art business tips so that you can gain focus and action on your art business. This week's episode is brought to you by the Positive Painters online artist community. The Positive Painters community is a place you can grow your art and your art business with fellow artists who have been in the trenches and know what it takes to grow an art business and create fabulous art. You can join the Positive Painters for less than the cost of a cup of coffee and gain access to a community, monthly art motivations, and so much more. Join today at stephanieweaverartist.com. No matter where you are in your art career, whether you're starting to create or starting to sell artwork or a seasoned artist, there is a single commonality that we all go through and have to address on a daily basis, and that's our minds. So our minds are these amazing machines that process faster and on more levels than we could possibly verbally decipher. We can actually see, feel, interpret more and more without actually knowing it. So for example, right now, you're listening to this episode. You may be hearing a bird in the background or the heat kick on or a car going by. You may feel cold, your feet are tingling. All of this is just happening and your brain is actively processing it. It's amazing. It is truly an amazing machine. And like I said, it's processing more than what is audible or visual. And we have to come to terms with what our brain is processing that is unseen when we get into a funk. So like I was saying earlier, this past week I was kind of in a funk, meaning I didn't want to paint, I didn't want to write, I didn't want to do anything that was on my list of things to do. And so I trudged through some things like I was moving through mud, literally dragging my feet with, I should say figuratively, dragging my feet without enthusiasm. My mind was foggy and I couldn't barely put together a sentence, which made for a fun conversation when the kids would guess what the rest of my sentence would be. And honestly, for me, it was entirely frustrating. But I knew physically I was fine. So I went on a slow walk with the dogs to kind of clear my head and listen to the sounds, just be outside on a surprisingly warm February day. And while I still found my head quite foggy, I called a good friend and chatted with her about the fog. And I went to an artist meeting to chat with fellow artists, and what did become clear was that I was meant to take this time and relax, and I needed to embrace the fog and just do what I wanted to do rather than what I should be doing. After some time reflecting and chatting with some friends, what became a clear thought within the fog is that my world was shifting to what I wanted and have been manifesting. So before I lose some of you, let me clarify what manifesting means. Manifesting is like a new woo-woo term that essentially means, for those of us with analytical, logic-driven people, it basically means that you have put goals into place and envisioned you completing those goals. So depending on what and how you want to look at the term, the next part still applies. Whether you think of it as manifestation or goal setting, the next part still applies. And just kind of put manifesting into terms that I think anybody can understand. I was talking to my husband about this, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I get it." And he used to play baseball, and it's like walking up to the plate. You envision where you're going to hit the ball. That's your goal. Basically, you're manifesting and setting a goal as to where you want that ball to go. So that's kind of bringing those two worlds together. Okay, I kind of want to relay what fog actually is. So, I Googled, and there's there's a website that kind of helps explain how fog is created. And what it says is when the sun rises, the air and the ground warm up. This leads to the air temperature being warmer than the dew point temperature, which causes the fog droplets to evaporate. As the air cools during the longer night, the relative humidity increase, which can result in fog formation. So I'll include a link to that website, but in short, there are two different temperatures are colliding, creating a fine mist of water droplets between the cool sky and the warming earth, thereby lowering your visibility. Your brain fog is essentially two experiences colliding, making it difficult for you to see and move forward. So that's kind of a weird thing to think about that's happening in your brain. And you're probably going, well, thanks, Stephanie, for explaining fog and what I'm feeling. But, well, Stephanie, what do you want me to actually do? And do you want me to just sit here and do nothing? And, well, the answer is kind of yes. But what I want you to do while you're in the fog is just move slower and until you can see clearly. Again, it sounds weird, so here are some actual things to think about while in the fog or the funk. Sit for like 5 to 15 minutes or go for a walk, call some friends, and talk about it. Embrace the fog and then just dig a little bit deeper within to evaluate why you are in a funk and what two or more experiences are colliding that's causing this low visibility. And then think about what you actually want or need to do to get out of the fog. Because here's the thing. When you are in the funk, it means that the world isn't the way that you are used to, and really you don't know what to do about it. So maybe you feel out of control. Well, what are you trying to control and why? Or maybe you feel unappreciated. So why do you feel that way, and what do you think you need to do to feel appreciated? Or maybe you feel that you aren't being heard. So maybe what are you saying? Or who are you saying it to? And is it the right message for them to hear? There's all sorts of little questions that you can ask yourself to drive towards an answer. And I think you probably see where I'm going with this. Because when you get in the fog or funk, look at the why and the what and move a little bit more slowly until you can see the light. And sometimes that light, that answer, is just to sit and wait for the fog to pass. And sometimes the answer is a clear direction on which way you need to move to get out of the fog. Think of it like when you create something. You have a vision of what you want the work to look like. And it's just not there, or it's not getting there, it's not moving the direction that you want. And so sometimes you start adding paint, and you keep adding paint, and you keep adding fake paint, and you keep fighting that thing that's in front of you. But what you should be doing is stepping back and let the paint settle and come back with fresh eyes and a fresh approach. That's what I'm asking you to do. Just take a minute and relax with it. Now, I've taken my advice this week too, and instead of forcing myself to do all the things I'm supposed to do, I embrace the fog and let things happen outside of my visibility. And it's been amazing. Things have been clear, the fog moved past me, and I can see the world in front of me. Now, for those of us who love lists, here are the 3 steps to get out of your fog. Number 1, relax into the fog and evaluate the what and the why the fog is happening. Remember the phrase, what you resist persists. So think about it like this. You're walking through smoke, or somebody just blows smoke in your face, which is, rude. But somebody blows smoke. Do you just wave your hand wildly in front of you, or do you sidestep or let the wind blow? Which is more efficient, right? So relax into the fog and evaluate what and why the fog is happening, and either let it blow past or sidestep. Just find the direction on what your mind is telling you. Your mind has the answer. And if your mind is not giving you the answer fast enough, it does help to do step number 2. Talk with your friends or colleagues about your fog or funk, and someone outside the fog can see what's going on and help you through it. And then finally, the third step is to move slowly until the fog lifts, or that you slowly walk through it. Because if you keep on trudging through and walking or running like you are, you're going to slam right into a tree because you didn't see it through the fog. So move slowly until the fog lifts. Now, I will also say that sometimes the funk can be actual depression, and all of the above may not work for you. And if that's the case, please make a call to a health professional. Even in these times of COVID, these health professionals can meet with you via Zoom. There is absolutely nothing wrong with asking someone outside the fog to help you and guide you out of the fog into the light. I hope you found this week's topic helpful, and the fog lifts for you soon to reveal the beautiful world and the artwork ahead of you. I'm Stephanie Weaver, fine art artist, and I look forward to chatting with you again next week with more art business tips. Feel free to post questions or topics that you'd like for me to consider in upcoming episodes. Until next time, stay safe, happy,